All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're staging a major food showdown. We're going to break down 4 of the biggest labels you see at the grocery store: grass-fed, organic, local, and even good old conventional, to finally figure out what's really on your plate.
You know that feeling, right? You're standing in the grocery aisle, just trying to buy some food, and you're staring at this wall of labels. It can be totally overwhelming. Are you paying more for a real health benefit, or are you just paying for a buzzword?
Well, today we're going to cut through all that noise. Think of this as a title fight for the best food on your plate.
So before we see how they stack up against each other, let's meet our 4 main contenders. First up, in this corner, we've got conventional. You can think of this as our baseline. It's the most common way our food is farmed. It often means using things like synthetic fertilizers and pesticides to get the biggest harvest possible. And for animal products, it can mean growth hormones or antibiotics are part of the deal.
In the next corner, we have organic. Now, to get that official USDA organic seal, the rules are pretty strict. Food has to be grown without most of those synthetic pesticides or fertilizers. It's got to be non-GMO. And for animals, it means they're eating organic feed and they get access to the outdoors. And here's where things get interesting: meat, grass-fed. This label is all about the animal's diet. It means the cattle were raised on grass and forage, the way they're naturally meant to eat. But here's the key thing to remember: organic beef is not automatically grass-fed. Nope, organic cattle can still be fed a diet of organic grains. It's a really important distinction. And our final contender is local. This one isn't about farming methods at all. It's about geography. Local food is all about closing the distance between the farm and your table. We're typically talking a radius of 100, maybe 250 miles. So the big focus here is one thing: freshness. Okay, the contenders are ready. Let the showdown begin. Ding, ding, ding. Round 1 is the vitamin and mineral matchup, and we're putting organic produce head-to-head with conventional. So, does organic actually pack more of a nutritional punch? Well, some really big studies say, yeah, it does. They've found that organic crops can have way more vitamin C, iron, and magnesium. And here's the real kicker: they can have a massive jump in antioxidant compounds. We're talking anywhere from 19 to almost 70% more. That's a huge range, but it's a clear difference. But, and this is a big but, the science isn't totally settled. Even the National Institutes of Health points out that a lot of these studies have limitations. It makes it really hard to draw a straight, definitive line from eating organic to a specific health outcome. So what's the takeaway? There's definitely some promising evidence, but the scientific jury is still out. More research is needed. All right, on to round 2, the fat factor. Now we're shifting gears from produce to meat, and we're comparing grass-fed beef with its conventional grain-fed counterpart. And in this round, there is a very clear difference when it comes to fat. Grass-fed beef is just leaner overall, and it has what many experts argue is a much healthier fatty acid profile. On the other side, grain-fed beef is higher in total fat, especially monounsaturated fats, which is also why it's higher in calories.
And here is the headline number. When you look at those heart-healthy omega-3s, the difference is absolutely massive. Grass-fed beef can have up to 5 times more than grain-fed. That is a huge advantage for a nutrient that's so important for things like reducing inflammation and supporting brain health.
And check this out. This chart tells the next part of the story perfectly. It's the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. All you need to know is you want this ratio to be low. Our modern diets are way too high in omega-6s, which can be inflammatory. Look at that difference. Grass-fed beef has a much healthier ratio, often below 3 to 1. Meanwhile, grain-fed beef can be 8 to 1 or even higher.
But wait, there's more. The wins for grass-fed don't just stop with omega-3s. It's also packed with way more conjugated linoleic acid. You might see it as CLA, which is a healthy fat that's been linked to a better metabolism. Plus, it's higher in the building blocks for vitamins A and E, it's got more antioxidants, and higher levels of key minerals like iron and selenium. It's a pretty clear win. And now for our final competitive round, the race for freshness. This isn't about how the food is grown, but how fast it gets to you. And this is where our local contender really gets to shine. This fact is absolutely staggering. The second a fruit or vegetable is picked, a nutritional clock starts ticking down, fast. Some of the most fragile vitamins, like vitamin C, start to degrade almost immediately. Get this. Spinach can lose up to 90% of its vitamin C within days of being picked. That's almost all of it.
So why does this happen? Well, just look at the long, sad journey that most of our non-local produce takes. First, it's picked way before it's even ripe. Then it spends days, sometimes weeks, on trucks and in warehouses. And every single step you see here, the light, the air, the temperature changes, is just another chance for its nutritional value to disappear.
And this is the superpower of local food. It basically short-circuits that entire long journey. By cutting out the long-distance travel and the extended storage, you get produce that was actually allowed to ripen on the vine and is eaten much, much closer to its nutritional peak.
Okay, so after all those rounds, what's the final verdict? Who's the undisputed champion? Well, the truth is, it's not that simple. There isn't one single winner. So let's decode what this all means for your dinner plate.
You should think of this table as your ultimate cheat sheet. Each of these labels has a very specific strength. So, if your main goal is to cut down on pesticide exposure and load up on antioxidants, organic is your best bet. If you eat meat and you're focused on getting those healthy fats like omega-3s, grass-fed is the clear champ. For getting the absolute most vitamins out of things like berries and leafy greens, nothing beats the freshness of local. And hey, let's not forget about conventional. Its greatest strength is accessibility. It makes sure that hitting your daily fruit and vegetable goals is always an option, no matter your budget. And this right here is the most important takeaway of all. The smartest choice isn't about finding one single best label for everything you buy. The smartest approach is to be strategic. You might choose local organic strawberries in the summer, grab that grass-fed beef from the freezer section, and buy conventional bananas. It's all about building your personal winning combination.
So that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Now that you've got the info, what's the winning combination that makes the most sense for your health, your budget, and what you love to eat? Thanks for joining the Showdown.